Hello, Jose. Thank you for being here today.
Hello, it's a pleasure to be here.
Well, Jose is a project manager at Microsoft. He works for the customer success data and AI team, and he has had the role for 3 months now. And we will be discussing a little bit more about his exciting experience these past months. So, how did you become a project manager, and what experiences, jobs, or roles helped you to prepare and develop the skills to be a project manager?
I became a project manager because I was able to intern at Microsoft in my senior year of college, and the internship was for a business product manager role. That was the first real experience I had, at least hands-on with the PM world. And to be honest, I had no idea what to expect. I was a finance major, but I had taken a lot of management classes and a lot of project management classes, and it sounded interesting. I applied for the internship and I got it, and I was able to spend the summer as a PM role at Microsoft, actually in the same team as I'm working right now. And it was just such a great experience that I knew once I got my return offer to do this full time after graduation, I knew I wanted to return and keep doing this. As far as you know, previous experiences that helped me prepare for this role, I would say, again, a lot of the classes I took in the university, I was really fond of the project management classes, the business communication classes, and a lot of the classes that gave me the skills necessary to succeed at this role. So I would say most of those skills came from the university.
Really interesting. I'm glad your background as a finance major helped you get this role. And can you describe a day in the life as a project manager?
Absolutely. The day of a project manager involves a lot of communication with people, a lot of meetings. And I've seen this with other PMs at Microsoft. You basically have your whole day booked with meetings, whereas it is with customers or with other members of your team, vendors, partners, management. It depends on your role, but it is absolutely a lot of communication. The role of a PM involves, making sure everyone has what they need, um, overcoming obstacles and roadblocks, and identifying where can we improve to accelerate a project. So it absolutely involves a lot of communication. The single thing I do a lot is just checking whether it's an Azure DevOps backlog or Excel or whatever whatever the source you use to keep track of your projects. It is a lot of keeping the hygiene of your project, making sure everyone's recording their tasks and their issues, etc. So it's a lot of just checking and then communicating.
So, can you think of any challenges that you face as a project manager in your day-to-day basis?
Well, absolutely, and I think that the biggest challenge I face on a daily basis is just making sure everyone's communicating efficiently. One of the huge issues when it comes to project management is that you're usually working not just with people in your team and your management. You're also working with, for example, a partner from another company, a vendor that you hire to perform a specific task. You're working with customers, so there's a lot of parties involved usually when it comes to the implementation of a program or a project. So it is kind of challenging to make sure everyone's in line, because at the end of the day, the idea is that we have a common goal and we should be aligned. And that alignment usually takes a lot of work. To be more specific and give you examples of challenges, right now I'm working on a project that involves people from different countries. They usually speak different languages, and you quickly realize that they have different methodologies of operations among markets and everything. So it is a kind of challenging to make sure that everyone is on the same page and has what they need to execute. So that's one of the big challenges.
That must be tough, honestly. And with the challenges comes what you actually really like about the job, or what is the most rewarding, you would say?
Great question. So the most rewarding aspect of this job is, I would say, the delivery of a project or a program, because it takes a lot of hours of work and a lot of effort to finally be able to implement a program or a project. So the most rewarding part is actually delivering, because, like I said, it takes a lot of effort. The second thing that is really, really rewarding is getting to meet a lot of people. Like I said, This role involves a lot of communication, not just in your area, but also across areas in Microsoft and around the world. Right now, my job has allowed me to meet people from Microsoft from literally every single continent in the world, and being able to just do that networking, establish those relationships across the globe in different areas, different professional areas. That is really rewarding as well.
Well, that sounds really exciting, Jose. And do you have any experience with the agile methodology?
Absolutely. And I think the idea of the whole agile methodology is something that Microsoft is really fond of, and it's been really important for our execution. I've been here 3.5 months now, and I think every single project we've made uses this methodology in some way. To give you some examples, whenever we're introducing a new project or a program, we usually meet at least 10 minutes every single day to make sure we're splitting everything in stages or in pieces, and we make sure we can complete those and effectively communicate. In the program I'm working right now, for example, so just to give you a little context, my program basically is in charge of migrating customers that are on-prem to the cloud and taking their SQL servers from their local servers to the cloud and generate revenue from our web services. And these migrations usually involve a lot of hours of work. They involve a lot of internal discussions among the clients and customers. So one of the big things and one of the big changes that we recently made that has allowed us to be successful is that we actually implemented this agile methodology. So instead of, let's say, working with a customer for 3 months and planning this huge migration, we decided, hey, why don't we eat this pizza in slices, and we just perform a proof of concept migration, for example, in which we work for 2 weeks. We migrate a few servers, and that has allowed us to actually be very successful. And this is beneficial both for our clients and also for Microsoft as an organization. When it comes to the clients, it is important that we divide this in pieces because they actually get to understand how we work, how the methodology works, and basically how we operate. And this proof of concept idea has been very successful at that. And on the business side, on the Microsoft side, the whole point of this project, for example, is to generate revenue from web services. So if we have a huge project that's going to take months to actually generate revenue, that's not really good for us. So the idea of implementing this agile methodology, dividing everything by pieces, and actually start reporting revenue on the short term, on the midterm, and on the long term, that's actually super beneficial for us as well. So, and that's just one example. So the agile methodology is present in basically every single day of my job. So absolutely.
Yeah, that sounds great. And do you have any guidance for aspiring project managers? Would you recommend for them to obtain certifications such as PMP or Scrum Masters?
Absolutely. And those are actually great certifications. As far as advice, yes, certifications are definitely a must. And one of the big aspects of my internship a year ago revolved around getting those hard skills through certifications. I know you mentioned the Scrum Master certification. That's a big one, and that's actually the first certification I achieved in my internship. And after I got this, one of the cool things I got to do was to actually act as a Scrum Master. And every Monday, our team would meet it early in the morning, and I would act as a Scrum Master and just basically make sure that everyone had what they needed to succeed. And that was really cool because it is very, very important when it comes to actually accelerating a project. Just to give you a quick example, the Scrum sessions were super, super helpful for us to identify roadblocks and also to avoid redundancy. At first, we were having 2 people working on the same thing and then nobody working on another thing. So just being able to get together on Mondays, have this Scrum session and say, hey, this week I'm going to be working in this, and this. These are my expected roadblocks. How can you support me? That was huge for our team, and that allowed us to actually contribute, support each other, and actually progress with our projects.
Can you tell us a little bit about the balance between the art and the science of project management?
Absolutely. So I would say the science aspect of project management essentially covers the measurable aspects of the business, And it is a very important part of the job. And it basically requires the processes such as planning, scheduling, the overall controlling of the project. And this is basically the backbone of any successful project. And then the artistic side, I would say, are the aspects of PM that includes the leadership, the motivation, the communication, things that are not going to be measured on paper, but that are equally important. And both tasks are very, very different, but they're both as necessary, and they absolutely complement each other. And I think they're both incredibly important to find success, especially when working with a lot of people. You need to have both, and it's a balance.
So how about the soft and hard skills? Can you give us any examples of both?
Absolutely. And I think that's a great question, because that's very, very important. And I feel like whenever you're applying to a role or you're new to a role, you tend to only concentrate on the hard skills because that's what you're going to be measured on. Some examples of hard skills are, those certifications, learning how to use a program, learning how to use Excel or Azure or whatever the program may be. And that is actually important. You got to get the job done, and you're not going to get it done if you don't actually have the technical skills, the hard skills to actually accomplish that. But I would say, and my advice would be, don't forget the soft skills, because those are equally important, if not even more important, since we're talking about a PM role here. As I mentioned, this involves a lot of communication, right? And without the soft skills of, for example, being able to present, being able to talk to somebody, then you're going to be a little lost there. So it is very, very important. And I would say one of the big ones that comes to mind right now is being able to effectively communicate in an efficient way. And I mean efficient in the sense that people don't usually are going to have time to read your email if it's 6 paragraphs. So you need to be able to actually convey your message, whether if it's asking for guidance or reporting results, for example. You need to be able to communicate in 2 sentences or 3 sentences. Or even when you're in a meeting, you're usually going to be in a meeting with 10 people, 20 people. So you need to be able to make sure that if you have the time to actually speak, you need to be able to convey your message, because you have to leave everything out there. You usually have 1 minute to talk. So soft skills, very, very important. Hard skills, also important. But I feel like as a new graduate, you tend to concentrate only on the hard skills. So my big advice would be, don't forget your soft skills. And that's how you build relationships. And as you'll see in the professional world, relationships are very, very important as well. Networking is very important. That's how you get your opportunities. That's how you make professional relationships that can turn into advantages for your projects, for your programs. So don't forget your soft skills.
Perfect. Well, those are all the questions I have to you today. This was really great. I really feel like I know more about project management. So thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Happy to help.